Let's say you're Hyundai and you just spent the past 10 years not only defining your brand, but changing the world's perception of cars from your home country. Now it's time to reinvent your first ever luxury car. So what do? Make it look prettier, give it a bit more power, perhaps even better speakers. Well, Hyundai's not exactly the most traditional car company, so they sought out the help of a man who lives in a shed in the southeast of England who tunes cars to do this.
So what we do is we were asked to come in and kind of look at the three attributes, which is steering, ride and handling. And we have a very detailed method of breaking down subjectively each of those three elements. So for steering, we're looking at how does the centre connection feel of the car feel, how responsive is it off-centre, does the weight of the steering feel appropriate, does the connection feel appropriate, is the hand wheel angle appropriate, and then we consider ride. Now when we look at ride quality is does the car feel balanced in its what we call heave motions, does it feel balanced front to rear, does it feel like it's always coming down or does it feel always coming up, or does it feel like it's balanced? So we just keep swapping the benchmark cars, which is a BMW 5 Series and a Mercedes E-Class, and then what we do is subjectively evaluate, it's a rating between 2 and 10. You never ever mark anything a 10, because if you hit a 10, that's perfect, you can never improve on it, and you could always improve things.
Well, 10 would be a Lotus.
Yeah, we don't even mark Lotus as 10. Yeah,
wow.
9 if you're lucky. So
that's
because we can always improve them slightly further. That's what an engineer does.
Okay, so Matthew's not the only person involved here. Remember back in 2010 when we built the Hyundai Curb concept car for the 2011 Detroit Auto Show? Well, design manager John Krsteski and his band of merry designers from Irvine, California are back. But this time, instead of concept cars, they're working on Hyundai's Genesis from freshman to sophomore years.
I kind of see freshman, but I like to think it's more of a graduate kind of leap, so but we can talk more about that. One of the things that with the original Genesis, it was really more about it was our first entryway into luxury. And I think a lot of the things that we did were a bit safe.
Did you do that car in your studio?
It went through several design iterations, and I believe that there was contributions from our team, contributions from the Korean design team as well.
And then what about this one? How much of it was you and Irvine?
The design theme came from our studio. One of our designers, Mikola and Cedric, both worked together.
Cedric, man, that guy's a rock star.
He managed to get
Again?
in there. He gets in there.
Wasn't it his sketch that was the Elantra?
It was. But Mikola penned the design of the sketch, and then Cedric jumped on to help give him some support on it.
So we kind of look at all those elements, and at the end of it, we pull together a list of scores and a list of subjective comments on where we thought the car was relative to the benchmark cars, and we present that to the Hyundai engineers, and highlighting some of the particular areas where they really needed to work on, where they were not quite as good as the benchmark products. And also you can highlight actually where you are better already than the benchmark cars. Right from the word go, the steering on this car was better than all the benchmark
Just
products.
for the avoidance of doubt, the car had basically been engineered at that point.
Yeah, it basically, so all the suspension hard points, the bushes, we couldn't really change too much. We did do some changes to engine mounts, transmission mounts and rear subframe mounts to improve the ride quality.
And you can make those changes in California? You
Yeah,
have to go back to the mothership to do that?
No. I mean, the majority of the components come through from Korea to support the tuning and development. But no, Irvine or the Hachi, the technical centre, they do a lot of their own work. So they have a lot of their own unique settings for this market. So for instance, this car has unique spring rates, unique anti-roll bar diameters. The tyres as well are unique for this market.
So what was the marching orders from Korea when you first set out this project?
I don't know if it was marching orders from Korea necessarily as much as it was for us to want to continue in that same pattern that we've been doing, which is leapfrogging the design. If you take the original Elantra to where we were with that car, the Sonata, and where we were, we really took a big step forward with each car. It was really designed to grab people's attention. People who really didn't know much about Hyundai or even weren't familiar with the brand at all. So where we wanted to go was really, establish really sculpture to grab people's attention, which it did. It was animated, it was dynamic, and with the evolution, I don't think we're as animated as we need to be. I think what we need to do is we're moving into more of a sophisticated. So you're switching a little bit less animation, but upping the sophistication.
So what was your wish list when you first came in? What specifically did you want to change?
Initially, as I said, the steering was very good, but it needed more precision. I don't particularly like heavy steering. I like what we call nice, clean, defined steering. So on centre, it's not too sharp, but it's connected enough so that you can drive one-handed, like you do in America. A bit naughty, we don't do in Europe. We use two hands.
This is coming from a guy who drives a Volkswagen Golf as a daily. Yeah. Okay.
So we wanted a car that, so when you put small inputs in, the car connects with you immediately, so you're not kind of chasing around for the response in the car. We wanted a car that was comfortable as well, because hey, we evaluated the car on the track, but how many people are going to use a Hyundai Genesis on a circuit?
Not that many.
Not that many.
I know one guy his name is Reese.
Yeah.
And I think that's more for show.
Yeah. So again, when you develop a car like this, or any car, you have to develop it appropriately for what the car's going to do. So for a Lotus, for sure, we spend more time on the circuit. Not as much as you may think, because, again, it's a road car.
And at no point did you get a car over on your track in Hethel?
No, because there would be no benefit, really, because, your roads here are pretty unique. If we took it to Norwich, where Lotus is based, you'd end up with a different setting of the car.
That's just typical. Matthew and MotoMan, they focused on exactly the wrong stuff. As you can see, I'm walking up to the Genesis, no key in my hands, and look what happens. The trunk just opens. The car senses that I'm within proximity and that I'm probably going to want to put something in there. I'm 1.5 cubic feet of cargo volume, and I would say this trunk would probably easily hold 10 or 15 Simonellos.
Overall changes you made. So you made some changes to steering, some bushings.
Yeah, so we did steering tuning. We didn't do engine mount, transmission mount, and subframe mount tuning. We did some damper tuning as well, so shock absorber tuning to kind of balance the car. We looked at different spring rates, did spring rate tuning, and then we also looked at anti-roll bar stiffness to make sure when you put the car into roll, it has the right amount of support. And the damper tuning really is there to blend all of that. And then with the steering tuning, you've got to have the right steering ratio in the car. So the amount of steering wheel angle versus road angle is your steering ratio. You've got to have a system, quite an expensive rack that has minimised friction within the steering to give you that feedback. Tyres are really important. Tyres really contribute towards steering feel. They're a massive important element to that.
Did you spec out the tyres for this car?
We went through a few different tyre iterations on this car, and this was kind of the best tyre of the bunch for steering feel. Ride was a little bit firm, but the other thing you have to remember with tyres nowadays is you have rolling resistance coefficient targets you have to meet. So, because of fuel economy, I know it's a V8, but every little bit helps.
One of the biggest things we want to do is really establish a clear brand identity, and then using this vehicle, Genesis, establishing a new grille shape. If you take a look at the current one, it was a wing-type grille, similar to what we had on the Sonata and the Azera, and then we had the hexagon grille shapes. So with this particular grille, we actually took the best elements of both of those, and we're able to fuse them together. So integrating the wing type shape through the lower, but still managing to maintain the strength and power of the hexagon shape.
Is this something you're looking to repeat in the logo here as well?
Yeah, I mean, even the Genesis badge got more streamlined, more settled.
Was there a lot of debate on this, on what this should be?
Actually, there wasn't. I was surprised.
Really?
Yeah, no, I think everyone felt that it was certainly a move forward, a leap forward from where we were.
So at what point are you signing off and the three of you agree, okay, this is the car going to be?
End of December. That was basically the end of December. It was like...
Oh, it was a timing thing.
This was a timing thing. It was production specification release. End of December, we must release this specification regardless. So you get to the end of that. And it's the same in any project. It's the same as a project at Lotus. You never feel like you have enough time, never feel like you have enough budget. I guess the same as life.
That's an interesting fun fact.
Okay.
What were you working on when I was in that studio with you?
Oh, well, I want to say that this was probably in the pipeline at that time.
It was.
We were sitting there.
We
were doing some refinements on it.
Yeah.
And I'd like to point out, the security release actually works.
Okay, so here's the script. For a new MotoMan film every week, click subscribe. And to get a sneak peek of what's coming up on the show, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, MotoManTV, all one word.